By the time you reach 45, life finally begins to make sense in ways your younger self could never grasp, because the lessons you once ignored, resisted, or misunderstood now reveal themselves with undeniable clarity. You learn that staying silent is not a sign of weakness, but a superpower, because not every thought needs an audience, not every truth needs to be spoken, and not every emotion deserves to be expressed. You begin to understand that peace is not something you acquire from the world. It is something you protect from it. Silence becomes your armor, a shield against unnecessary drama, pointless battles, and shallow noise. It teaches you that the loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest, and the person who knows when to hold back is the one who truly has control. As the years stack up, you also discover the priceless value of intelligence, not just your own, but the brilliance in those around you. When you meet someone smarter, more skilled, or more experienced, you no longer feel threatened. Instead, you feel grateful, because you realize collaboration multiplies strength in ways competition never can. Working with great minds expands your vision, sharpens your thinking, and elevates your potential, whereas envy only shrinks your spirit and dims your courage. Then comes the revelation that family is not just the people who share your blood, but the people who share your heart. You realize the family you build, through love, loyalty, and choice, matters far more than the one you were born into. Blood may begin your story, but it does not decide your ending. The people you invite into your life shape the future you walk toward. You also learn a harsh but liberating truth about work. Your job, no matter how prestigious or well-paying, is not designed to protect your dreams. It pays you just enough to keep you comfortable, but comfort is often the enemy of purpose. You understand that if you want a life that feels meaningful, you must create something that belongs to you, something that cannot be taken away by a layoff, a policy change, or someone else's decision. The world will always offer you safety at the cost of your soul, but only you can decide whether you accept or reject that bargain. With time, you begin to detach from society's endless opinions and unsolicited advice. You see clearly that most people are wandering without direction, pretending to know what they're doing while barely holding themselves together. You learn that following the crowd rarely leads to fulfillment and almost never leads to truth. Your own wisdom becomes your compass, your intuition becomes your guide, and your courage becomes your fuel. The older you get, the more you value real friendship, not the superficial connections built on convenience or gossip, but the rare individuals who genuinely celebrate your victories, support your growth, and encourage your dreams. One true friend outweighs a whole room of acquaintances who secretly resent your progress. You discover that loyalty is not about years, it's about actions, integrity, and consistency. Healing also becomes a central theme of your journey. You begin to understand that forgiveness is not about letting others off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of old wounds. When you forgive your parents, not because they were perfect, but because they were human, you break generational chains that have held you back for decades. You learn that resentment steals joy, poisons peace, and keeps you stuck in chapters you should have closed long ago. Forgiveness becomes the doorway to emotional freedom. Another truth shapes your life. Waiting for the right time is a silent killer of dreams. There is no perfect moment, no flawless plan, no guaranteed outcome. There is only action or delay, courage or hesitation. You realize that the life you want will never appear until you take the first imperfect step. And perhaps the most powerful lesson of all is that no one is coming to save you. Not your family, not a partner, not society, not fate. Your life is 100% your responsibility. Your choices write your story, your habits shape your future, and your discipline builds or destroys your destiny. Blame fades as maturity grows, and freedom begins the moment you claim ownership of your path. As your circle tightens, you become selective, choosing to surround yourself only with people who are focused on growth, ambition, peace, and building a meaningful future. You let go of those who drain your energy, sabotage your goals, or distract you from becoming your best self. You realize that proximity is power. The people closest to you either elevate you or diminish you. Growth becomes your new standard, and mediocrity no longer attracts you. You understand you don't need a library of self-help books to transform your life. You need discipline, consistency, and action. Reading without doing is simply another form of procrastination. Change requires movement, and movement requires courage. You also learn that life is not a race, and you are not obligated to run in lanes that don't belong to you. Peace comes from choosing your own path, not from chasing every trend or competing in meaningless battles. The older you get, the more you understand your self-worth, and once you recognize it, your tolerance for disrespect, doubt, and half-hearted love disappears. You stop chasing people who don't see your value because indifference becomes your new strength. Rejection begins to look different too. You see that not getting what you wanted often protected you from what you didn't deserve. Life's delays were not punishments. They were redirections towards something better. It was always found in how you chose to live, how you chose to think, how you chose to respond, and how you chose to carry yourself. By age 45, you finally understand that the real journey of life is inward, not toward achievements, praise, or recognition, but toward alignment, clarity, purpose, and peace. And once you realize that, everything changes.